Hi guys, I just finished a rough 48 hours of shaking down the Alde system in this in our 2017 CS Adventurous. So I'm gonna make a video to try to remind myself of everything I learned and hopefully pass something on meaningful to you guys. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so our symptom was no heat in the floors. We had some heat at the radiators, but no heat in the floor. We took it to the Roadtrek shop. They couldn't. They said they fixed it, but they didn't. And so it was left to the forums. And here's what we found out. Quite a bit of useful information came out last couple days, and thanks to everybody on the forums, Roadtrek forums, for helping me out. Okay, here's the magic begins, guys. Everybody knows right down in that hole is the Alde heater system. There's actually way down in there, I don't think you can see it, but there's a little dial that you can change from 1 to 5 to change the, I assume it's the velocity of the pump or the power of the pump. And all I can tell you is on 2, and I set it to 4 for my testing, and I just want to make a couple observations. Everybody knows about this little beauty back in here. And can you hear how it's gurgling now? Okay, that's vigorous. And that's how it was when we first bought it, and when everything was working well. And then we replaced the pump, and I think it got set to 2, and it's less vigorous, less noisy, and that is annoying, I'll say that. But at least I know the pump is really getting after it, and so that's just some indicator. And while I'm in here, I wanted to bring up another thing. Right back in there is the back side to the Alde heater, and the thermostat's in that. And this little zone in here is what it reads out on the dial. And back in there is about 30 degrees warmer than the rest of the van. So that problem's yet to be resolved. But as you can see here, it's saying 43 degrees. I just turned it on, and it's not 43 degrees. This will kick off when it gets to 85 and the van's still 50. So, but quickly, let's go through here. I learned some things here. Of course, we set it at 86. The second to the top is the shower, and then I found out that the 1 and the 2 on the electric, 1 is 1 kilovolt of power going to the heater element when it's on electric, and 2 is 2 kilowatts, and that will kick off our normal house breaker because I don't have a 30 amp circuit. So you can't run that on 2 or you'll kick your house breaker off. At least I did over and over. So it's set on propane right now, and you can run them both simultaneously, and the way it works is it will run on both until it reaches temperature. Then it will turn off the gas to save gas if you're plugged in to landline power. So anyway, let's so there's the Alde heater down in there, and the Alde heater piping is this thing right here, this black pipe here, and that's coming back. It takes off and goes that way through the van down to this little radiant heater here. There's a little convection heater right back in there, and not warm yet, I just turned it on. And so we always had a little bit of warmth there, but not too much. And so that's where it routes to. It routes to that little convection heater. Then it goes under the floor and goes to a pump underneath the seat. And this little pump is controlled by that switch, and that switch can be turned on easily and left on for long periods of time. And that switch should only be turned on when you're wanting to route the fluid underneath, out, and through the engine compartment. Now there's a valve on the other side. Let me be thorough here. If I can get out. You've got to open this little compartment here and turn this valve right there. It's got a handle on it right there, and that, if you turn that handle so it's this way, that lets the fluid flow down around the engine. Now they don't want you to have that open, and they don't want you to have that pump on unless you're doing that. And so that's something to learn. But anyway, then it flows from underneath the seat, back underneath the cab, the chassis, into the bathroom, and comes into this radiator heater here. It comes from the front seat into here, goes through this heater, and then exits and goes that way into the wheel well back here. By the way, all these convection heaters have a little silver thumb knob at the top that you can bleed liquid from if you need to. I don't think that's the problem most of the time because it's supposed to be a self-bleeding system. So, but anyway, then it comes out of the bathroom, and here's where the magic happens. It comes out of the bathroom here, or it comes from the front of the seat here, goes into the bathroom, okay, and then comes out of the bathroom. Let me get down here where I can do a good job. This T right here is going to the floor through this little PEX pipe here. But it goes into the bathroom, comes back out, comes out of the bathroom right here. And this is the magic point where they have you pinch. And when you pinch that, it doesn't let the flow go back through the system and on down. It forces it through the floor line. And here's what I found out is that that's the magic, is to pinch that. And when I say pinch it, I got some hose clamps, and I clamped that with some pliers and left it clamped because you can leave it there a while. And the whole theory is the liquid will come and it won't be able to go that way, so it's forcing it down into the floor. And then I sat here and I could feel these lines heating up. This line was always hot, like all the black lines, but this floor line was not hot. And after I pinched this off, the flow is forced through this valve down under the floor, comes into the floor, and then I'm assuming it goes down to the front of the van, comes back, and then it comes over to this side and comes back out from underneath the floor right here, and then it comes back, and then it goes that way to the system. Okay, so I'll get back to that in a second, but let me just complete the flow over here. Comes from the front seat into the bathroom heater, out of the bathroom heater, down, comes over here, comes into this heater, or convection. This is a whole thing here is a convection heater, comes in here and heats it, and then it comes out. Man, I bet you this is going to be shaky video, but it comes out of this convection heater and goes under the floor, back here, back to the back, to that last convection heater, across there, comes back under the floor, and comes in right down here from that back convection heater. And then it flows from here back to the pump. So that's the loop. And so when you don't have heat to the floor, it's because this line, this little line here going to the floor, mine was warm here, but I could reach over here to the opposite side and feel it, and it was cold. So it's cold right now. And so it's just starting to heat up though. What are we at now? It says it's 3 degrees warmer than when I turned it on. But anyway, so what I did is I sat here on the floor where I could feel it, and I pinched this off right here at this flexible soft rubber 90, thus forcing the liquid through here. As soon as I did that, I held it there for a while. This is starting to warm up, by the way. And as soon as I did that, I could feel that this line going to the floor was warm. And at the same time, I had my hand over here on this line, feeling it. And it's cold right now. And voila, after 5 or 10 or 15, 20 minutes, now I put it on propane, and it seemed to heat up lots faster because I can't put it on the 2 on the electric side, so I'm running off the propane. It heated up much faster, and it gets to the point where this hose, like it is right now, it's warm, but it gets so hot it's almost too hot to touch. And after a few minutes, this line heated up, and this line heated up, which means the floor heated up. So that's, I hope I can remember all that down the road. I mentioned a little bleeder. Here's one of these thumbnail bleeders right here. I did bleed that when I thought there was a problem. You turn this thumb wheel, and the theory is if there's any air bubbles, it should come to the top here, and you could release them. And I opened it just a little bit of antifreeze comes out, and you close it, and the antifreeze happened to run out of this hole right here. But so yeah, that's the Alde system, and learned a lot. I'm going to post a bunch more of great information about the Alde system and the heating settings up here, because they don't do a very good job in the Roadtrek manual. Like, can you run it both gas and electric at the same time? Yes, they don't tell you that. What happens when you do? Well, it runs on gas and electric till it reaches its set temperature of 86, and then it would turn off the propane to save the propane if you're connected to landline power. So the other thing I learned was pretty good. See this thing here? We put this over this to block that light. And I didn't know there was a sub menu down here, and you can go to this brightness and say turn the standby to off, And if I go standby brightness off, when you come back to the main menu, it will be dead. It will be black, and so you won't have to put tape over it. So that's a little Roadtrek hack. And from now, I'm doing too much testing, so I'm going to leave it on, the light on. But I don't need this little blinder we made to block that because we didn't know about the sub menu there. So hope that helps someone too. Let's set that there for a minute. Anyway, the system is working again now. It worked great for the first few months, and I think what happened, this little pump down there failed. Alde sent us a new one. They warrantied it and had a guy come out on the road and repair it, and he put it on 2, and I think that's a little low. Of course, like I say, the downside of having it above 2 is you get a much more vigorous gurgle. See that? And that's what I'm used to hearing. It's kind of annoying. You get used to it. You put food and stuff in here and you can't hear it so bad. But on 4, it's gurgling like that. On 2, you can barely see that gurgle. So anyway, long story short, we got air in our system. Probably when we changed pumps or ran this fluid low. So this fluid is not to be underestimated. You need to check that and top it off. Probably, I don't know, probably at least once a month. But I didn't, and I got low, and I think I sucked air in there and caused this whole problem, and there's no one at Roadtrek that will help you. And we took it to the factory, to our dealer, and they said they bled the air out and was working as designed. They did not get the floor working, because when I got it back, it still had no floor heat. So there you go. That's the Alde heat system. Everything I learned in the last few days. And so this video hopefully will help me remember the ins and outs of it all. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. I'm going to say one more thing. This morning I came in after testing it all night, and I'd blown my breaker, and so everything was down. Both battery banks were down. Of course, the inverter was off. And so what you find yourself with is, even though I reset the breaker and I'm plugged in, both these blue lights were off. And without those lights being on, the inverter won't engage. So you're sitting here dead in the water saying, what can I do? So I confirmed that I had landline power plugged in, even though this wouldn't show that, because both batteries management systems had shut down. And so I turned on the engine. It's running right now. I'm not sure whether that played a part in it or not, but I did it so that I'd be getting charged from the underhood generator. And then with these in the on position, the lights were off. I pressed and held the reset switch. Normally you have to do this once in a while. Seems pretty seldom, but to engage the battery management system and lock in a relay, you have to push this reset switch. Well, I pushed and held it, and I've read before that sometimes you have to hold that for 20 or 30 seconds for it to lock in, so to speak, or engage. Well, I was sitting here with both lights out. My inverter wouldn't engage and wouldn't be on landline, even though I was plugged in. And so I really was at my wit's end here, but learned a lesson this morning. I pressed and held the reset and just sat there holding it. And in about 15 or 20 seconds, boom, you know, I had one of these on. It came on. I kept holding it. I reached over, cycled the inverter off and on, and boom, the inverter on, landline light lit up. I had the lights. And as you well know, if you don't have some sort of power engaged, you cannot run your heater on propane or otherwise. So my debugging stopped. I couldn't do this video, and spent about a half an hour trying to figure out how to re-engage my battery system. And that's how I did it. So those reset switches right here, press and hold them with it plugged into landline power and or the engine started. I'm still not sure whether starting the engine had any net benefit, but anyway, it's kind of scary when you have no batteries, no way to engage them, no way to turn your inverter on, and therefore no way to turn the heater on. So once again, press and hold that reset switch with the switch. The battery has to be set to the on position, and press and hold, and after about 20 or 30 seconds, bing, it re-engaged. Because I tried pushing it a couple times just briefly and it didn't do anything. So press and hold and wait and wait and wait, and bing, it came on. And then once one came on, I was able to engage the inverter, which now gave me full landline power. Then I came back and turned the second one on and reset it as well. Hope that's helpful. We're getting ready to take off to Arizona here, at the end of next week. So we got a few more minor projects to do to get her all loaded up. But mounted my new paper towel rack there, pretty fam-dancy. And then let's see, what else did I do? I guess that's about it. We've got it pretty much dialed in. Guitar rack. Anyway. Okay guys, till we talk next time, have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.